Righto guys, welcome to Creepers Cryptid and Paranormal Corner. This weekend just passed was a Labor Day long weekend here in New South Wales, Australia. So the missus and me kids, me sister and me brother-in-law decided to do a trip down to the family farm. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do a bit of a video from where I had my first encounter with a Yowie. So in the video I'll be doing the same walk down to the creek. That night we were going down to have a look at the dam. We never made it there because we'd got down through the gate, almost got to the creek, and a creature on the other side of the river, which by all the things that happened to us that night and all the different experiences I've read on the internet, it was obviously a Yowie. Anyway, the creature actually broke a chunk off the willow tree and threw it at us. It went a good 70-80 metres, actually went over our heads and hit the fence behind us, and then took off in the bush in the opposite direction, which was good because Mum, Dad, Nan and I actually sprinted off in the opposite direction back up the house, so that worked out pretty well that the creature didn't chase us. Just before we get right into it, guys, just want to thank everyone for the support. My subscribers have gone through the roof. Like, I'm up over 900 now. I never thought this would be possible. It's just been awesome. Thanks for all the comments. I'm trying my best to keep up with them. It's a bit hard sometimes. We've been working all day and getting home and mucking around with the kids and that, but I'm trying my best to keep up with them. And some of them aren't coming through that I've actually not getting a notification for them, but every night I try and scroll through all the videos just to make sure I haven't missed any. Just before we get back into it, if you liked the video, really appreciate it if you could like, share it with your friends and family, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Cheers, guys. Now, I won't get right into the encounter, but if you are interested in hearing the backstory, if you haven't already, if you check out the first video I did, episode 1, First Cryptid Encounter, you'll be able to get the backstory there. And as I've said before, the farm's about 2.5 hours southwest of Sydney. It's 160 acres. It was bought of more of a hobby farm or just somewhere for the family to get away to. So I think at the moment there's a heap of sheep on there and a couple of horses. So it's not a working farm at all. But back then too, like, no one really got down there as much as we wanted to. Like, it could be 6 months between visits. So, but we got down there. I'll give you a quick rundown of the encounter. Mum, Dad, sister and I, and then a pop went down there. We met them later on in the night. We got there, it was pretty late. We went for a walk down to the dam. We wanted to check it out. We got down, halfway down there, we seen some big eyes in the paddock. They come running at us. We freaked out a bit, ended up being the horse. Walked a little bit further. Mum mentioned she could smell fire, and we all stopped. We could smell the fire, and it was no moon that night. It was real late, real dark. Like, if there was any fire around, we would have seen it. We ended up keep walking because we thought maybe someone had been squatting down the dam or something like that, and all of a sudden Mum stopped us. Could you hear that? And we could actually hear it. Sounded like a massive bushfire coming towards us. So we were like, what the hell's going on? And so we've headed off and kept going, went down through the gate, and as we got down to, there was a bit of a creek crossing. You go across, there's a big willow tree on the right of the creek crossing, and we'd got halfway between the gate and the creek there, and heard a big crash bang and a bit of a thump 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 noise through the air, and we didn't know what there was. All of a sudden a branch smashed into the fence behind us, which set the kangaroos off behind the fence up through the bush. But anyway, so it's taken off in the opposite direction. We sprinted up the house, and we were terrified. We ended up going down a bit later with Pop in the car to have a look around and see what it might have been, but there was no sign other than underneath the big willow tree where there's a spot you could see a branch had been snapped off it, and all the grass was all flattened down. But yeah, it was bloody terrifying. So the section here I'm showing you is with the drone footage, is where we walked down to the creek crossing where the creature threw the branch at us before the creature and us actually took off in the opposite direction. As you can see, the creek follows a ridgeline there, and we still aren't sure if the creature was maybe following us along that ridgeline or it was already down at the willow tree the whole time. If it was following along the ridgeline, it makes sense why the horse came running at us from down towards the creek. Was the horse actually trying to warn us by running at us like that and then taking off up towards the house? Was this creature up on the ridgeline when we could smell that fire? Or like, was that the creature actually letting off that smell, trying to keep us away? Or was it already down the willow tree? And that sound of bushfire that we could all hear, like the roaring of big bushfire, was that the creature actually howling or roaring at us, trying to keep us away? Because maybe it wasn't alone down there, maybe it had a baby, or there was a group of these Yowies down at the willow tree, or I'm not too sure. Maybe possibly this creature is just very territorial, and it just didn't want us going into its territory. We may never know why all that happened that night, but there's one thing for certain: I'll be going back down to investigate as much as possible. So as you can see in the footage, I'm on the walk down now. This is the exact track that we took down to the creek crossing where the willow tree was, where the creature threw the branch at us. we're coming down to that shed that night, and we were so excited. We were so happy to be down the farm again on holidays. It was just really good vibes. We were all happy and laughing and having a bit of a joke and that. And yeah, we just thought it was so good to be down there again and enjoying the little adventure we had with our dodgy little torches. We couldn't really see much, but yeah, as I'll explain now, once we get past that shed, all that happiness and excitement quickly went away, because that's when the first thing happens, when we see the horse with the eyes and all that, and then it just sort of goes downhill from there. So we went from having a lot of fun and being real happy to just pretty much shit scared and running for our lives. From about here, guys, this is where I've seen the big eyes in the paddock running towards us, end up being the horse. So in the dark it would have been coming probably over at these trees here. We'd spot, like where we said, seen the eyes over here, and we seen them come blinking, got to about here, and the eyes come running straight at us. That's when we sort of freaked out a bit, and would have got to sort of where these tyre tracks are. It's where the torch got to. We actually seen it was a horse, so it was a bit freaky there. I'll keep going down and I'll stop about where we could smell the fire. It's about here. This is where Mum had mentioned she could smell fire, and we all stopped for a bit and we could all smell it. And if you have a look, like we've got a creek down here. It goes up to the top of this ridge right here. You see how thick the bush is along there. We don't know if this creature was up there already or it was down at the old willow tree, which I'll come down to and show you where it was. So keep going. So we get about here, and this is where Mum had heard the fire, and we stopped because we were all talking and having a bit of a listen. And yeah, you could hear the roar of like a bushfire or a big massive bonfire or something. And 1 o'clock in the morning, it was that dark here, there's no moon. It was coming from that direction, and if there was a fire over there, you could see all the gullies all land basically smack bang in the middle of that dam that's up on the hill. So that's where the sound had come from, and that's what we thought. And then it even said maybe there was someone squatting down there, but we would have been able to see the flames, or at least seen the glow off the fire with it being so dark. Again, you have a look at the bush line here, you can barely see it. It's getting pretty dark, but you look at it, it's pretty thick. So we'll keep heading up. We're almost at the gateway, so you see the paddock, a few little hills and stuff. Other than that, it's pretty flat compared to the rest of the property. You look at all the mountains around, all the ridges. Plenty of odd stuff, a lot of odd sounds. Even this trip we've heard a few noises at night. I thought it was a bit weird, and I'll see how we go tonight. After the footy, I might even do a trip down here with the night vision on and my thermal camera. So here it is, this is the gateway here. This is the gateway, and this is where it all sort of went to shit. So there's the creek, you can see all the bulrush in there, and we're getting down a bit closer, and yeah, so these are the willow tree. This is the big willow tree here. That's all that's left of it, really. It was a big massive tree, and This creature didn't break the whole tree down, but it broke a big chunk off it, and since then that section of it is just destroyed. We come down to about here. So this is where we heard it was about here we heard the crash bang and the weird noise, like the phoop, 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 phoop through the air. And this is the section here that we were a bit further over here, so we were probably walking down here. The track used to be here, and whatever it was, they've thrown a massive branch, and it actually cleared us and hit the fence here behind us. So you have a look, like that's not far off, 70, 80 metres to where this willow tree was. And yeah, it's bloody a long way. So this is where the creature had thrown the thing on it at us, heard it crash off through the bush, and we took off running. So you can have a look around, and the bush, it's pretty clear around here, like the house paddock, but you start heading up there to where the dam is, and it gets really thick, and it's really hard to see through it, even during the day. Like, you'll be looking at a patch and there'll be nothing there, and all of a sudden there'll be 15, 20 goats come out, and they'd just been standing in the bush line you couldn't see. So that's where it all happened. Even look at this gully through here. Follow this creek line down to there, and it's really thick here, but just over there, like, look how thick that is. Creek's up a bit, so we can get through with the brother-in-law's Land Cruiser, but the little iX35 Hyundai, she a bit deep. Do you follow this ridge up to the top of the hill? And that's a big tree up there. There's actually a massive wedge-tailed eagle's nest up in there. Every morning you come out, every afternoon, most afternoons anyway, you come out and have a cruise around. I love watching the old wedge-tailed eagles, they're awesome. That's the highest point in the property. The dam is, there's a steel plate up here. Everyone uses as a target, so that's the dam on the other side of that. So yeah, it's a lot of bush. Even this bulrush stuff, could be anything in here overnight and you would not see it. So I was saying I was going to do a night walk down there with the cameras and stuff like that, but I would have been doing it on my own, and I just got a bit of a sketchy feeling going by myself. Yeah, so I decided just to hang around the house with a thermal and check it all out. Got that thermal footage there for you to have a look at, looking down towards the willow tree. In the next videos I bring out, there's going to be a bit of thermal footage of stuff around the property with the wild pigs, the wild dogs, and these creatures in the area. It was just, my gut feeling was telling me not to go alone. So I've kept this video just about the first encounter I had down there with the Yowie. So I'm just going to, like you've seen, I've gone through and done the walk and stuff like that. I did get a little bit of footage of the second encounter I had a couple of days later on that same trip with my family. And then I did get a lot of footage from around the farm and around the area I'd like to show you. And at one stage up on top of the hill with my sister, her brother-in-law and my little daughter, she was in the car luckily, but we'll stand there talking and something massive got up and took off through the bush away from us. We never seen it, but when it got up and took off, it just made the whole bush went silent. And my sister actually turned around and said, "Oh wow, that's so weird, all the bugs and everything, it just stopped, everything went silent." So we had that happen. There was when we were leaving, instead of taking the left straight back out onto the road, we actually went right to go up and have a look around another road. We actually found I actually noticed on the opposite side of the road, on the back side of the hill to the property, we actually seen some structures. So we found a big T and a big cross. So next time we get down there, I've got a few things I want to go and investigate. So I'll have a look at all that in the next video I make. But as I was saying, I'm just going to keep this video to just be about my first encounter I had with a Yowie. And I hope you guys enjoyed me taking you back to where it all began. Keep safe out there, guys. Cheers.